This episode of the podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. Visit patreon.com/lightscameranonsense to help support your favorite new movie podcast. Now, let's roll that reel. The only thing that matters that I'm recording is my sultry voice.
Oh, yeah, your sultry voice, full of energy, full of vigor.
Hello, and welcome
Ooh, I like this.
to another episode of Lights, Camera, Nonsense.
Sorry, what was that? I caught
I
it.
said what I said. No, don't be a dick.
I will.
Stop
It
being
rhymed.
a pedantic asshole. On today's episode, Nick will be a giant douche.
I absorb all.
They call me Absorbson.
Why absorb? Not the amazing Absorbo or something like
know we
actually
should.
catch it.
Absorbson will take off.
Absorption sounds like.
They call me Absorbson, son of Absorb.
I was gonna say, it sounds like a pharmacy that passed down from generation to generation. Hello,
Yeah.
welcome to Absorptions. I don't know why I did a Liverpool voice, but
I, Absorbson, wield the mighty tampon of Antioch, passed down from my father.
we're treading some very dangerous lines. But I love it. It's kind of what we do. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Nonsense, where we give you all the latest movie magic you may have missed. I'm Nick, AARP member since 2013, Simmons.
And I'm Zach Orange Smith.
Orange?
Or, hold on.
Okay.
Maybe
I'll give you another go at it.
Zach Slime Smith.
Slime? Okay, ew.
Slimy Smith.
And on Saturday, July 24th, 2021, let's dive into the previews. I had to pull it up because I keep forgetting the script. You can help support this podcast by signing up for our Patreon at patreon.com/lightscameranonsense for as low as $1, Zach. And I actually pulled this up on Amazon. There are things lower than $1 that you can buy on Amazon, which you can do
Is this an
instead
ad
of
for Amazon?
No. You can do, but I'm giving you the option to maybe buy a Glade Solid Air Freshener 6-ounce pack of 1 lavender and peach blossom for 99 cents, or you could just sign up for a month of your favorite new movie podcast, Lights Camera Nonsense, at patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. That's just one thing that you can buy off of Amazon. That's cool. That's great. Jeff Bezos went to space, in his giant metal dick. Or you can just enjoy two cool bearded white dudes talking about movies and what they love about them. If you don't have time to watch, nope, Zach, I'm going to keep going. If you don't have time to watch, no worries. We're also on every podcast service 2 days later. That's iTunes, Spotify, everywhere else. But enough of that nonsense. Zach, what have you been watching?
So I made a promise to you last week, Nick. I said
did.
that as my mission, I would be coming back here and telling you about the one thing that I set out to watch.
Indeed.
And that was the Orange Years.
The Orange
Nickelodeon
Years.
story.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so this was like a documentary of the history of Nickelodeon properties like Wild Thornberrys, Rugrats, Real Monsters.
It's kind of a history of some of their properties as well as just the channel itself. So it starts with the initial kind of invention. I don't think I really even remembered this, that Nickelodeon was like the first dedicated kids channel.
Yeah.
Because before that, there were channels with children's programming blocks. You know, like they would have shows on there, but it wouldn't be an entire channel dedicated to just kids stuff.
Did Boomerang, I guess, exist after the creation of Nickelodeon?
Yeah, well, Cartoon Network came after Nickelodeon, and then Boomerang was like an offshoot of Cartoon Network.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, it starts from the beginning of that and how it kind of evolved from this like one show called Pinwheel on a specific kind of. It was weird, like when the channel that the programming that Pinwheel started on was like this like almost interactive sort of television watching experience, but it was basically like a poll taking channel, or like there was one show on there that was like a talent show, like American Idol or something, and you could vote if you liked what you were seeing or not as the person was performing by pressing a button. But it was a specific box that gave you access to that channel, and Pinwheel was like the kids channel on that.
I like that name more. Like, I like Nickelodeon, I like the history of that word, but like Pinwheel just sounds fun and whimsical. You think of pinwheels and you're like, yeah, as a kid, you're blowing on the little thing on a stick and it's a pinwheel, tiny windmill.
Yes.
Tiny windmill.
And then once that kind of went under, did its thing, they wanted to still keep kind of that central idea of programming for kids, but then develop a whole channel around it. And they talk about how like the name Nickelodeon came about, and which was, I guess, evolved from of all people, the Warner Brothers.
What?
Yeah. Apparently Nickelodeon was a Warner Brothers property way back when, which I didn't know, but yeah, it was sold to Viacom in like the mid 80s or something. So that's why we have Paramount Plus for our Nickelodeon stuff instead of HBO Max now.
Oh, okay. Well, way to go. You dropped the ball there, Chad.
Yeah. But Chad and his bro, they would screen movies on their little Nickelodeon kind of, which is like a kind of a crank, sort of like projecting screen.
It was like one of the original forms of film projectors.
Yes. So they would supposedly screen things on this machine for this programming block in like a garage or something.
Yeah. That's where all great companies start too.
Yeah. You got a watchdog back there.
Bean, what are you looking for? Bean, what are you looking for? What's down there? Hey, chill. Hey,
Just
Bean.
making sure everybody's up to good.
She sits like a human, and that's what freaks me out. I'll take the camera. Hold on. What's up? And you got one cockeyed. Okay. Moving back.
So like it does that early history and like how the channel developed, and then came into its own by basically they didn't have anything original at the start. They had to buy all their kind of. It's pretty normal for channels to do that sort of thing when they're first getting started, is because you don't have the overhead to produce anything in house, so you have to
buy other
acquire rights and buy things. So. But none of like the big animators at the time were being sold to them, or even just general shows for kids were being sold to them, because they're kind of like a new up and comer, and they're like, yeah, this is never gonna work. So they would buy things from like Singapore, Canada, and like they would dub anything that wasn't in English. And that's just kind of how it took off from there. And then eventually it goes into like its first spate of original programming, which is a lot of the live action stuff, Pete and Pete, Arguing Afraid of the Dark. Basically, if you grew up watching any sort of Nickelodeon
from like the early
programming,
like late 80s to early 90s.
It starts like mid 80s and then progresses through I want to say like probably mid to late 90s.
Right. Your Cow and Chickens, your Rocko's Modern Life.
Cow and Chicken is actually Cartoon Network, sir. Don't get it twisted.
This is where I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All cartoons were the same to me when I was a kid.
Cartoons would be Hey Arnold, Wild Thornberrys, Rugrats, which was one of the 3 original cartoons, which I did not know for Nickelodeon.
Really?
It was Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, and I'm completely blanking on the last one. No, it wasn't Doug. Was it? Nah, I don't remember. There was one other one. I can't remember. But they go into Doug before the Disney acquisition, and so once it gets away from the kind of like the early programming start, or the early history of it, like just getting the channel off the ground, then it starts to kind of go into play-by-play on certain shows and what they did, or like how they approached them. They have Salute Your Pants on there. Clarissa Explains It All. a bunch of
crap.
the older stuff.
Yeah, my nostalgia is like kicking into high gear right now, just thinking of the names of those.
It doesn't really go into a whole lot of the late 90s stuff, like your SpongeBob's or Cat and Dogs, or it just kind of like offhandedly references them. But it talks about Double Dare,
Gas.
Gas, yeah, with the Gak. Legend of the Hidden Temple.
There we go.
Like so much of this.
No, I was gonna say Supermarket Sweep. But that was something else.
Yeah, that was different. But yeah, like all the Kenan and Kel, all that. Again, like they hit all these things that if you
I forgot all that was called All That. I was like Kenan and Kel, All That. I'm like, well, don't forget the show All That, Zach. Oh wait, you just said it.
That All That.
Yeah, it's not my fault they named it something so innocuous.
And so it's really interesting. It's like you're basically waxing nostalgia.
Yeah.
For like an hour and a half. This is like an hour and 40 minutes. Pretty standard length for a documentary. But it's if you are nostalgic for that and you grew up around those shows.
Yeah.
It's really an entertaining watch.
Where can people watch it?
So this is on Hulu. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but it's where I watched it.
Okay. What is it called again? Sorry.
It's called The Orange Years, a Nickelodeon Story, or The Orange Years, the Nickelodeon Story. One of the articles in there, but that's basically it. The Orange Years Nickelodeon Story.
Okay.
Yeah, really, really interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like these types of documentaries. I talked about a little bit about this with the Imagineering story about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember.
It was about a year ago. It was around the beginning of Lights, Camera, Nonsense.
But my problem with that one is that they kind of it turned into a bit of a advertisement by the end of that,
right?
And it was only like 5 or 6 episodes and an hour-long piece. But within those, the episodes that weren't just advertising Disney World, by the end of it, there was some really interesting stuff, And this is kind of the same energy. You're talking to people behind the scenes of your production crew. You're talking to your execs that got it moving, got it off the ground. It was really interesting to hear. How to see if I can find her name. It was Debbie
Downer.
No, not Debbie Downer.
Meow, meow. That's an SNL sketch for all of you listeners who just don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Fuck, where is...
Rachel Dratch. What a legend. I miss her. She's still in stuff, but she's not in nearly enough anymore.
Let's see.
We'll get to that here in a second, though.
Nickelodeon.
That was also my nickname growing up. A lot of people called me Nickelodeon for obvious reasons, and I was okay with it for the most part. But I'm like, you're adding more words. What? You're adding more to my name. Just call me Nick, or call me like Nicodemus. That was a lot of my parents' church friends called me that because he's an actual character in the Bible. But yeah, Nickelodeon, I was like, oh, that's cool. Or Nick Jr., because I was small until I hit puberty, and then I was huge and had a mustache. Don't miss those years. Don't miss the puberty years. Those were the worst, because you don't know what the fuck is going on. They try to teach you in school. They try to throw you in health class, but the health class teacher doesn't care. That guy's a coach for the baseball team.
Go ahead.
I'm running out of room.
Congratulations. that was very good.
Hey, I can do it all day. You just start making vampire puns.
Well, yeah, that's my bit. I give the people what they want.
I mean, do you?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, what they want is the actual content of the stuff we're talking about. If we were more prepared, but we're not. So, fuck it.
So, a lot of the early programming stuff came directly from this exec, Geraldine Laybourne. And she was like the driving factor into basically molding what Nickelodeon was for basically its inception to she ended up leaving to go work for Disney around the late 90s, I think. but through that time, she basically had a hand on everything, and her kind of approach to the children's programming on the network was, you don't want to talk down to kids, but you want to kind of provide them a safe place to kind of go through all the things that they're experiencing as kids. She would even go so far as like they didn't start marketing stuff like producing toys and shit until like 10 years after the fact, or maybe not 10 years, but it was a couple years at least before they started manufacturing toys, because she was like, kids get enough of that already, so I don't really want to.
From your Hasbros, your Mattels, your.
They talk about how they were offered I think it was a Double Dare branded cereal where it opened on it would open from the bottom and then you pour milk into it and then you'd flip it over or something like that. It was something stupid. It was so fucking dumb, but they were offered $1 million for it, and she was like, nah, because like that's ridiculous, and if we're going to produce something for kids, we want it to be of some quality. That we're not taking advantage of them. And she had a background as a teacher, so that's kind of where all that came from. And it's just all that stuff I find really interesting about like the headspace of the people in charge, and like obviously things, especially when those people who are part of that driving force with those specific things in mind for their projects end up leaving, that does open room for changes, so things may not be the same. I mean, there's even a thing about SpongeBob specifically where the creator didn't want it to, go too far past its prime, or like have any offshoots or anything like that. But once he passed away, then like you don't really have that control. The people with the
property, the IP, and the money
are going to control it, and they're going to abuse it, unfortunately. So that's kind of where you get to. But in the meantime, before focusing on all that, you can like kind of dive into the more sincere forms of this creativity and like what's driving them to do the things that they do, and to make this national brand,
right?
And as someone who grew up with the channel and watched a lot of there was some stuff that I watched that I had completely forgotten that I watched. I was like, oh yeah, shit, I remember that now. Like that's
was
I don't think I ever
Nickelodeon. I know. Are You Afraid of the Dark was, but
Goosebumps I think might have been Nickelodeon, but
they
it was
might
later.
They might have showed Goosebumps. I don't know if it was like owned by Nickelodeon, like the TV show itself, but
I can't remember. But they go into like the Nick Jr. stuff too. They talk about Blue's Clues and all that stuff. They didn't quite get to like the Noggin area, which I perused occasionly for that was like that was a bunch of Canadian programming, I think. And I ended up getting a lot of like Ghost Rider and Degrassi and shit off of that.
Sorry, did you say Degrassi?
Degrassi?
Yeah, it's Degrassi. The Next Generation.
Degrassi.
Yeah.
Whatever. Drake's in that.
Yeah. There he is. No, I just... I mean, that was the show that I tried to actively avoid because of how cheesy it was with how realistic it was trying to be with the script. But it's like teen pregnancies and like drug addictions and stuff like that. I'm like, I already got to deal with that in normal high school. Why do I want to watch this at home?
Well, so like it's interesting you bring that up because that was kind of like their thought process behind a lot of their early programming is that for kids programming before that, it was all, like eat your vegetables and here's these amazing kids skydiving and doing gymnastics and shit, these Olympic gold medalists, and like there wasn't a whole lot of stuff talking to them about real things. And like fuck, there's a portion of the documentary that goes into they did Nick News for a while, which was news presented to kids in a way that was easily digestible, and they're talking about shit like the
war in Iraq.
I mean, yeah, legitimately, not that specifically in there, but that's what they would talk about. They would talk about active news to the point where there's the bit they focus on is Magic Johnson announcing that he had contracted AIDS or HIV. I can't exactly remember which one it was. And so they had a sit down, and it was like a special report on like, this is what this means. And like they have Magic Johnson sitting down with kids in a studio and another interviewer, and they're kind of like discussing this and like, you know,
just walking them through it basically.
Yeah. And at the end they're like, who here, raise your hands if you're HIV positive, and 3 kids raise their hands. And you know,
that's dark.
It's super sad, but you know, like at the same time, that's real life.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see some of this less sanitized early programming, and it like that part, like one of the kids breaks down in tears talking about how they're basically shunned, and it's like, I did not expect to cry at a fucking Nickelodeon documentary.
Yeah, I was gonna say this was a documentary about the history of Nickelodeon, you say?
Yes, yeah. But that's the thing, like it hits all points. It's not, it's nostalgic. It's what's the word, like
Bird
is the word. It's appreciative of what was provided, and it likes obviously what its subject matter is, but it's not like Nickelodeon was the best thing ever, or you know, like there were problems with it here and there. You know, it goes into that with worse. But I mean,
it being the first of its kind with total animation or total kids network content. Yes. You know, it's they were treading new waters with it. Absolutely. And so they were testing everything that they could. They threw everything at it, whether it be reality shows or competition shows or animations, and all different kinds of animations. They tested new talent.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's crazy to go back and look at some of the people they had, not just actors, but you know, all that specifically had, you know, music talent on there. And they talk about how like they had fucking Coolio on there, and then he did the Keenan and Kel intro, and you know, there's people that just blew up afterwards.
Not literally. I don't know why I have to disclaim that, but for some reason my brain, they blew up. They just spontaneously combusted.
But yeah, like that's where Nick Cannon got his start, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and
Kenan Thompson is literally still around performing on SNL to this day, and his start wasn't on SNL; it was on All That.
It was All That, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Kenan Kel and Good Burger.
Yeah. So very, very interesting.
I'll have to give it a watch.
Yeah, I would say if you liked any sort of Nickelodeon programming at all, it's especially interesting nowadays, because I think we're so conditioned in the streaming sort of format that it's easy to forget some of the steps taken by those channels, or you know, by those programming blocks that didn't exist. You know, we're so used to having everything readily available nowadays that you can just find whatever you want, and it's really interesting to go back in time and look at something that was so influential. And I don't necessarily know if it's less well positioned nowadays, because you know, I don't talk to today's kids on a regular basis. The youths.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their feelings are on Nickelodeon in general.
I know that it still exists to this day. I know it has to be successful for it to still be around.
I just don't know the staying power. Like, I know when Paramount Plus said, yeah, we're bringing over all of our Nickelodeon programming.
Yeah.
That was a big boon for like parents.
Yeah.
But I don't know
people our age.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was necessarily something that were like, oh yeah, I get to watch iCarly and SpongeBob. The kids today, or
I think it was an opportunity for for them to have kids content on their platform, because every streaming service, whether it be HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Netflix, I mean, the reason why you don't hear about a lot of kids programming on Amazon Prime Video is because it's almost non-existent. They don't target kids necessarily on their platform, and they miss a huge market. And that's what they're trying to target with Paramount Plus's acquisition of the Nickelodeon properties. And a lot of it is nostalgia, of course, but you know,
I mean, that's an excellent point. You know, like with Disney Plus, you know that you're going to get kid content on there, and like kids know the Disney brand, the Disney name. What I'm saying, like, I don't know if the Nickelodeon name necessarily means something to kids nowadays. I don't know. That's not like a quality statement. For me, it means a lot because I grew up with it.
Right.
But I don't know how well they have transitioned into the streaming world, you know, because SpongeBob, I know that is still going. I don't know. I could not name you a new Nick show.
Most of them are the ones that we kind of were walking away from as we were growing older, Zach, in like high school, end of middle school, where it was a lot of Drake and Josh's and iCarly's, where there's a lot of live action stuff, and I think they do more live action stuff. And I might be thinking of like a Disney Network type of thing, but like, again, I mix all of them up and together and stuff. But I mean, that's where a lot of internet sensations and a lot of performers on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, they'll have shows on Nickelodeon or Disney Channel or whatever, and that's where they'll get an even bigger audience. And so
I basically, I guess what I'm saying is I'm not plugged into the children's programming on national television.
Clearly, you're an adult man.
World.
No one expected you to be.
If I want to watch a children's cartoon or a children's show,
what is this? What is going on, Zach?
I will stream it.
Zach,
like a goddamn
what hill
adult.
are you trying to die on here?
I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know, but I'm willing to know, kids. Just don't eat me alive. A lot of kids listen to our podcast.
I'm just an old man. Don't get mad at me, children. Please leave me alone.
I want to reenact the scene from the end of Step Brothers where we're just beating the shit out of a lot of kids on a schoolyard. That's my dream. That's my dream. Before I die, I want to do that.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Legally, I'm kidding. Legally, that is a joke.
But that is all I watched.
Good job, Zach. First off, everybody who's listening or watching, that guy padded out 30 minutes of a podcast for one documentary. I swear to fuck. If you are still listening, you're our favorite listener.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I guess now it's my turn. For all the people who have tuned out because they're like, oh, they're going to talk about a documentary for 30 minutes.
Or maybe they're like, oh, well, that was the best thing of my week, and nothing from here could even make it better, so I'm just going to duck out.
Oh, my God. Okay, so people who set their expectations at that exact level can fuck right off. And I feel like there may be a little bit of an overlap to the statement I made previously, but, you know, whatever. Stick around or don't. I love you. Fucker. So I was quite busy this week watching quite a few things, and it was an eclectic mix. And I've said multiple times over the course of the week, and Zach, you have reiterated this back to me. It's been a roller coaster of a week for me, viewing wise. So let's just get started. I watched Sexy Beasts, a reality show that premiered on Netflix this week. Technically, it was a British reality show back in 2014, and they remade it for Netflix, but still set it in England. Anyway, the whole premise is that a single male or female goes on 3 speed dates and decides to choose between 2 of them and eliminates one, and then goes on a bit more serious dates for the other 2.
You were burying the lead on this so hard.
I just hold on. And it's all blind dates, and they've never met each other. And finally, she chooses a person to go, start a relationship with. That's the way that they frame it. I am burying the lead very, very deep.
Yes. At this point, no. At this point, you can just stop, and people will be like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like
that sounds like
standard
Love Island
dating
or
show."
Bachelorette. Sure, yeah, okay. So Sexy Beast is basically it's based on the premise that we judge everyone based on their looks, and we judge who we want to date based on their looks. And so they dress up all the contestants in animal or robot or different cosplay.
It's a dating show for furries.
It's a lot of people dress up as animals or robots or aliens or whatever. And it shows how ugly people can be when they realize who they eliminated in one round. Because, okay, first episode is a woman going on a blind date with 3 men. And so everyone's in makeup. No one knows what they look like. And the makeup, I have to say, fantastic. Because you cannot tell what these people look like.
Astonishing. Disturbing, but astonishing, yes.
Right, because some of them look really, really good with the animal makeup.
Dolphin.
Yeah, the dolphin freaks me out. The dolphin freaks me out because of that one YouTube video that got a little popular where it was like a dolphin man like chasing a woman in a dark house or whatever. Yeah, don't look that up. But one of the episodes had like a panda woman, and I'm like, she is an attractive panda. And I started to get weird feelings, Zach. I started to like I was messaging you in real time as I was watching it. And I started to say, oh no, they're all hot. It doesn't matter what you're feeling. And nobody going into this knew or expected anything from this. It was like, oh, it was another dating show. Put them in makeup. First episode, the woman goes on 3 blind dates with 3 different men and then eliminates one of them. And at the end of the first elimination, the guy who got eliminated gets to see what the woman looks like. And he's like, oh shit, man, if I knew she was that hot, I would have gone out. I'm like, okay, well, that's the point of the show, so clearly it works. And as the show continues, you start to realize that some of these people, like, they may be hot, but they're also just like total assholes. The second episode is this guy who goes on a date with 3 or goes on blind dates with 3 different women, eliminates them one by one and finds them. But the way you're introduced to this guy, and he's dressed up as a beaver, right? With a lot of muscles, and it was very intimidating. And I don't know if I could look at beavers the same way again. He was like ass first, personality second. Zach, ass first, personality second. Yeah. And this was a beaver saying this, so I knew that all of the continuing dates from that point onward were going to be fantastic. And the guy was just a dick. And once they revealed how attractive he was and how attractive all the 3 women were, and he just got like, his heart was broken because he eliminated the first woman. And he's like, damn, if she was hot, or if I knew she was that hot, I wouldn't have eliminated her. And then by the end of the episode, he's like, even if this doesn't work out with the woman I eventually chose, I can talk to the girl that I eliminated first. And I'm like, ugh, This is the second episode, and these are 30-minute long episodes. These aren't like hour-long episodes, so it's like it's continuously going. And I just felt disgusted by the end of it.
Is it filmed in any way to give the viewer like a sense? Like, is there a comeuppance for these sort of like douchebag people? Are they like? Is it flipped to where they can then be eliminated?
No, they when it's revealed how hot the single person is that's dating the 3 other people. And you're like, oh shit, this person's hot, and then they basically like film it like it's the end of The Bachelor, where they're turned around and they turn around the other direction to see the reveal of the person they eventually chose. And it's all like mood lighting, it's like very romantic, and you're like, this person went on 2 dates with this person. They're not like marrying each other by the end of this. They haven't like gotten to meet their families, that kind of thing, like The Bachelor does, or Love Island, or whatever. I was very deeply disturbed by how serious the relationship, like some of them, they just start making out on like at the end of the first date. I'm like, you just met this person, you don't know what they look like. That man has an alien head. They move very fast, and maybe this is very telling of how I operate, but to be honest, like that's also not the way that this I mean, I guess the show works that way, but like, jeez, I don't know.
I gotta say, you describing the show is actually, it makes it way less interesting than I thought it would be, in a disturbing sort of way.
It's very, well, it's
because I thought the show would be just, based off of no knowledge whatsoever other than looking at people in animal costumes.
I mean, it's also that.
Is that these people would be furries trying to find love, furry love, you know?
I would find that to be more interesting.
I would find it to be at least more interesting than whatever the fuck you just described, which is just like we disguised people and then it's just a normal dating show underneath it.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's basically a normal dating show, very, very, very condensed. I feel like if they had a bachelor or bachelorette type situation where it was one person trying to fend off like 20 different people, all dressed up as furries, and it was like a season-long thing, it would be way more interesting.
Now I'm picturing a Bachelor style show in which one person is not in any makeup whatsoever, and then they're surrounded by like 20 fucking dolphins or beavers or something.
You could do that. You could easily do that. And like, I mean, I wouldn't say like all of one animal because that's disturbing. Because that would be haunting.
I need to figure out which dolphin is best for me.
I am specifically attracted to monkey men, so this has been a eye-opener for me. No, I think we hit a gold mine of just combining the premise of The Bachelor or Bachelorette and Sexy Beasts. We could call it The Sexy Bachelor. Just bury the lead in the title itself.
Yeah, they do all those different versions of The Bachelor all the time. You can just do a furry version, you know?
Yeah. I think that there's a big enough market for it. Sure. I recommend people check it out just as kind of like a weird, like, disturbing watch. Like, what the fuck is this about? You could pick any episode. They go in any order. I distinctly liked the Panda Woman's episode because she actually is committing to trying to find someone. And her whole deal was that she's trying to find someone to marry because she was told by a fortune teller that when she was 24 in November in England, that she was going to find the one she will love forever. And she's like, and now I'm 24. It's November. I'm in England. I'm a party planner. So naturally, I'm going to find the man I love. And she's saying all this in panda makeup. And I'm like, oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, makes sense. It all adds up. And by the end of the episode, well, it doesn't matter because she has to pick one of the three men. And she picks the least lame out of them. Like, one of the guys even fucking jumps up for joy when he gets eliminated because he's like, she's a bit too much for me, and I don't know. I'm like, dude,
that's a hit. That, like, even if you're also eliminating him, that's a bit of a hit to the old.
Yeah, the woman said, she's like, I am no longer attracted to the man who just jumped up in the air and celebrated. So I don't care what he looks like, because after you eliminate him, like I said, they take off the makeup and she sees the guy and she's like, oh, you're so cute. Bye.
Too bad you're an asshole.
Yeah. And so he's gone. He's like, look, I don't care. I'm hot. And it's just one of those things.
So the other contestants are also in makeup? Yes, like everyone is in makeup. Okay.
Yes.
Is it? So just to clarify, is it like, are these people? Do they like dressing up as anthropomorphic animals, or is it just a conceit of the show?
It's just a part of the show, and everyone's okay with it. Like, even when they go on dates and they have to, like, drink from drinks or, like, eat food, they have to manage. Like, one guy has bull makeup on and he has, like, a bull nose ring. Yeah. He has to, like, lift it up every time he's, like, trying to make out with a girl. Or the beaver guy has the fucking beaver teeth. So it's just the whole thing. You know, it's a very big, inconvenient way to try to find, you know, to date people. But it was also successful enough to reboot it.
I think you also hit the nail on the head at the beginning, too, is that you could easily find something just as disturbing on YouTube that would take you a minute and a half to watch.
Yeah. It's just one of those, like, you can't look away. It's like a car crash. It's just like you can't look away. Like most reality television, you just can't look away. It's just so horrifying. It's the same thing with, like, Too Hot to Handle, which I mentioned a couple weeks ago. It's animal makeup, but without the animal makeup, it's just all these sexy people having sex with each other, and then they lose money for having sex with each other. It's like, I don't like these people because they're, like, not the people you would ever want to be around, but it's just so garbage.
But you would have watched, like, 6 hours of them.
Oh yeah, I'll watch it because I want to see them fail.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's, like I said, it's a car crash. Moving on, I didn't think we would take that much time on it. I started watching. We could talk about that later. I finished probably what's going to be in my top 10 movies of the year, Zach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was a movie that I totally was not planning on watching.
Okay.
In fact, my mom had put it on the TV, and I was just kind of watching in the background before it started like getting into it. And I'm like, oh wait, is this that one movie that kept getting advertised over and over and over again last year, and then just disappeared with everything else, and then finally just dropped on Hulu to stream? And it's called Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. Zach.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
You may have seen the advertisements for it, because they did this weird like not viral, but like they weren't showing the actresses' faces involved with it, but it was very like underground in its marketing, because they weren't trying to like show, hey, this is Kristen Wiig, and hey, this is Annie Mumolo, the writers from Bridesmaids, the Academy Award nominated film from 2011. Yeah, they also wrote this film, and if you loved Bridesmaids, you will love this film. If you laughed your ass off watching Bridesmaids, you will laugh your ass off watching this film. It's about two lifelong friends, Barb and Star, embarking on the adventure of a lifetime when they decide to leave their small Midwestern town for the first time ever and go down to Florida. You know, that fucking cesspool. It stars Kristen Wiig, Annie Mumolo, who also wrote it, Jamie Dornan, who sings his own songs in this movie, and they are fucking hilarious. Go listen to this. If you don't want to watch the movie, what the hell are you doing watching this podcast or listening? But listen to the soundtrack on Spotify. It's fantastic. Reba McEntire shows up for a cameo. It's got a whole bunch of SNL cast members in it. Damon Wayans Jr., Vanessa Bayer, Wendy McClendon. And it's just about these two like happy-go-lucky Midwestern gals who, after a bit of bad luck, decide to go down to Florida for a vacation, and they get caught up in a plot to blow up a town from an evil Dr. Evil type of character, also played by Kristen Wiig. And it's just one of those fun, like just free kind of movies. It's like, it's got like, it doesn't have stakes, even though it should. It just has a lot of great small little comedy bits of scenes back to back to back, and it's just one of those fun. It's just like Bridesmaids. It has that exact same tone, pacing, and style as Bridesmaids. So I highly recommend it. I will continue listening to the Seagulls Hear My Prayer song, sung by Jamie Dornan of all people, over and over and over again, and it will be in my playlist for the rest of the year. I highly recommend Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, a hidden gem.
Nice.
Finally, we can talk about what came out in theaters just the other day. So, Zach, earlier this week, I asked you, in a rare moment of weakness, what should I go watch in theaters this weekend? Because it is a slower week, and it's one of those weeks where a movie wasn't also available on streaming. It's actually the first week in a while when one movie that came out that was released in theaters wasn't also released in streaming. So yeah, I could just stay home and watch it on the couch. And I asked you, should I watch Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins, or should I watch Old?
Mm-hmm.
And you said
they'll
Old.
Probably both be bad.
Yeah, and they've both been getting middling reviews. Snake Eyes has been getting okay, decent reviews, but because it's a G.I. Joe movie and you can only do so much with a G.I. Joe type story. And while I do love Henry Golding and I wish him much success in the future, he was great in The Gentleman, I can't really get invested in a G.I. Joe Origins. Like, I got serious X-Men Origins Wolverine flashbacks, and so I stayed away. And I think a lot of people will probably get that same exact reaction, don't you? Just based on the whole framing of the title, the fact that it's only one character from a franchise that no one has seen since 2013 with G.I. Joe Retaliation. I watched Rise of Cobra this week.
Was it Retaliation or Retribution?
It was Retaliation. Because they're retaliating against being disbanded at the beginning of G.I. Joe 2 because Cobra had infiltrated the White House at the end of G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra.
I can't remember if I just saw the first one or if I also saw Rise of Cobra.
So G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, directed by Steven Sommers of The Mummy fame, stars Channing Tatum and
Yes, yes, because and then I remember Rise of Cobra. They kill him off in the first 5 minutes. That's right.
nope, you have it completely backwards. Rise of Cobra was the first one, directed by Steven Sommers, like I just said, and has Channing Tatum like trying to stop a plot where they have nanomachines and they destroy the Eiffel Tower. That was in the trailer, and it turns out Joseph Gordon-Levitt is Cobra Commander, and what else? Yeah, a whole bunch of cameos.
I had the timeline right. I just said the wrong name.
Right. Yeah, in Retaliation, Channing Tatum dies off screen. Yeah. Just about everybody except for The Rock, who was not in the first movie. And and so they have to stop him again in that one. And then this is an entirely new continuity because they recanonize the introduction of Storm Shadow and the fucking Snake Eyes. That's the title of the movie. Damn it. It's been a while. It doesn't matter because I didn't watch Snake Eyes.
Yeah,
Zach.
To be fair, that's not the one you watched.
I didn't even watch it, so ha. Joke's on me. Ha. I watched Old, which is based off of a graphic novel, if you didn't know, Zach.
How old are they?
What?
They're so old.
So Old is a movie based off of a graphic novel called Sandcastle by Pierre Oscar Levy and Frederick Peters, and is written and directed and produced by M. Night Shyamalan. Zach, this movie fucking blows. This movie fucking blows. So, okay, it has so much going for it that if it was in the hands of anyone else, it would actually be a decent thriller. It has a great premise. It has a fantastic cast. Hold on, I'll pull up the cast. Whoop. Cast. Come on, Wikipedia. Just kidding, I'm using Google. Alex Wolff.
Take that, Wiki.
Who I just mentioned in Pig the other day, unless that was his brother. I can't remember. It was Nate and Alex.
It was one of the Wolf brothers.
Thomasin McKenzie, Eliza Scanlon, Gail Garcia Bernal, Rufus Sewell, Aaron Pierre, Abby Lee Crenshaw, Ken Lung. It's got a quite small cast, but guess who shows up to thicken the plot, Zach? Guess who likes to star in his own movies to be a very pivotal character?
It's the Sham Man.
Yeah, who also introduces the movie saying, hey, thanks for coming back to the movie theaters. Enjoy my suck-ass film. And then he made a fart noise with it. No, Bean, chillax.
I don't know if you're actually telling the truth or not.
I mean, he could have. Stop looking at me. I made a fart noise and it scared the dog. And like it had everything going for it, but the dialogue itself and the way that he apparently every time someone says a stilted line, M. Night Shyamalan was like, "That's good. That's a good take. Let's keep it."
You got some. What?
Yeah.
No.
You get that constantly in this movie. The poor kid who plays the younger version of Alex Wolff's character before he gets older. Spoiler alert. It's in the fucking trailer. It's in the trailer. He didn't deliver his lines very well. I get it. Kid actor, cut him some slack. I will not, because a good director would have reined that shit in.
All right.
The plot also quickly devolves into a very intense horror thriller type film towards the middle of the film, obviously reaching towards the climax, but then it just falls apart once they start running out of characters. Certain questions are asked that aren't necessarily answered throughout the entire premise of the film. I still, my curiosity was still piqued throughout the whole film, but once you figure it out about halfway through, it's just like, all right, where do we go from here? I guess, you know, the stakes are now gone because certain characters have given up, certain characters are disappearing, certain characters are, you know, resigning themselves, and then they just make stupid decisions like, hey, once they figure out everything that's going wrong, hey, let's have sex on the beach. You know, nothing wrong can happen there. I don't like wasting my time, Zach. I think you, of all people, know that more than
You know, you say that, but I don't know. You seem to do it quite a bit.
I do, and like, I realized that I was biting the bullet because my interest for either of these movies was at 50%. Like, my expectations were right where my interest was, which normally is a good fit for going to the movies. Like, you're just like, whatever, you know, I'm taking a leap of faith, and we'll see what happens.
Oh God!
It was a bad leap. It was a bad leap. Indiana Jones did not save me this time. Yeah. I don't recommend it to anybody watching. I think if you're interested, I think people need to stop seeing his movies. He needs to realize that the impact that he has on the film industry as a whole is not a good one. Even the movies that people say are his good ones, in retrospect, and I'm willing to eat crow on this one, Zach, are not great.
Unbreakable's good.
No, it's not. It's actually not.
Disagree, but
I'm saying if you compare it to any other film of its ilk that came out that year, it is not. And even if you put it up to the standard of the films that we are getting to this day, there are Marvel films which, as we've discussed before,
that's the point of the fucking movie. I can't.
No.
The point of Unbreakable.
No. I'm saying because we have an overabundance of Marvel movies now, which are middling at the very least, and have a better story than the fucking film that he's lampooning in that film. You get what I mean? Like, he built an entire trilogy / universe and a trilogy of films that lampshade that genre of film, and then they end up just falling apart at the seams.
Well, like, I think the difference is with Split and Glass, you had them directly turning into that. Maybe not so much Split, but definitely Glass. Whereas Unbreakable was like legit just breaking down that genre and why it's dumb.
I think it's breaking down the genre in one scene. I don't think for that entire film he had ever thought to use that entire film as a lampshading for the comic book industry as a whole. Because that came out the same year as X-Men and Spider-Man.
No, lampshading is like encompassing.
Or no,
like,
I'm sorry, I apologize. That's what I meant. Is that he's basically trying to break down how dumb they can be. Because
I don't think he was lampooning the comics industry either. I think he was just like breaking down the meta on superhero movies in general at the time. I think he might be just upset with Glass. That might be colliding.
I'm upset with a lot of his filmography.
I think Unbreakable is like a legitimately good film for him. I think it's decent.
So one out of... I'll look up how many movies he's directed.
I would throw Sixth Sense in there too, even though it's kind of a ruined movie after you know the twist.
It's yeah. That's another thing is that his entire shtick is twists, and once you realize what they are, or you are aware of them, and the twist in this movie, Zach, by the way, there's a twist.
Shocking.
Is also not good. Like
yeah. I mean, he's had that problem ever since, and I think the issue is that it is expected now when you see the name Shyamalan that it's supposed to have a twist.
Except for one movie. Except for one movie, Last Airbender.
Yeah, well, other people had plenty of other problems to dig their heels on with that one, other than not having a twist. But I think like if you go back to his earlier work, you can actually see like legitimately like these are good director decisions, or this is good, like decent script writing decisions. You know, it like their effect may be lessened after the fact once you know the twist for sure, but on the whole, their quality is good enough. And I think the problem is as he went on, it was like the mixture of like feeling it necessary to have a twist, or like trying to go too big after Avatar, and like just kind of like caving in on itself. And that's where you get into all those script problems, because you keep asking questions and not necessarily providing the important answers, or providing answers that nobody gives a shit about. You know,
the trick with setting up a plot twist or even a mystery in and of itself is making sure that you temper those expectations either with small reveals or by revealing it entirely halfway through the story and creating a new mystery on top of it. You have to keep the suspense going by literally creating new suspense. That's the whole reason why the genre still exists to this day. And it's, what are you doing, dog? What are you doing?
Shaking.
Hi. Bean, can you sit? Oh, she's coming here. Hold on.
Oh gosh.
Hi. Hi.
Baby.
Hi. Sit.
Sweet baby.
Yes, how can I help you? Nice to meet you. I apologize, but I also don't.
No apology necessary.
We're an hour in and we're talking about M. Night Shyamalan and we talked about documentaries. Anyway, all that's to say is that even with all of what you just said and all of what I've said over the last few minutes, it's still bad dialogue, it's still bad delivery, it's still bad acting for a good cast and for a good team. Like, the camera decides to just wander in certain scenes.
This is old you're talking about?
This is still old. I'm sorry. I'm pivoted back. The camera will wander, I guess, trying to show that it's, things are spinning around, things are crazy right now. But like, a character will walk out of frame on the left side and it will follow, but then it'll go back to the other characters in the scene. And then something will happen off screen to the character that walked off frame, and then the camera will go back, and then the camera that walked off, or the character who walked off frame will go back to the other side of the frame, walk off, and the camera will stay. And it's like, what? Who is operating? Who is doing this?
Yeah, but see, that's what I mean. Like,
Obviously,
I feel like there's this desire to, like,
he's done better.
Revolutionize or and improve upon or come up with different ways to do things, and it's like, man, sometimes just a normal steady cam is what you need for a scene. You don't need to be doing these like weird fucking pans.
He changes walking off. He changes the camera all the time. There's a character running to a scene and it's like a body cam looking up at the actor, and it's like the running like shaky, like, oh, this is intense, this character's running.
Startled.
Yeah, and it'll change the way that he's stylizing his photography for the film over the course of the whole thing. And it's just, I've seen better films, and it's not a good film, and I don't recommend people waste their money seeing in cinemas. Wait for it to drop onto streaming. Cool.
Fair enough.
Go see Snake Eyes instead.
Maybe.
Or watch,
I don't know.
Or watch Joe Bell, which is the third film that came out this weekend. That's very sad. It's about a father and son who travel across America, and the son dies. Spoiler. So. Or you can watch Schmigadoon on Apple TV. That was another thing I watched. It's fantastic. It's still going. It's not done.
What is it?
Keegan-Michael Key and Cecily Strong of SNL are a couple with relationship issues, and so they go on a hiking retreat to try to repair their relationship, and they end up getting lost in a town that seems to be set in some sort of weird reality where everything's a musical. And so this like songs will just randomly spontaneously happen, and they're trapped there and they try to find their way out. And I think we're 3 episodes in, and it's pretty good.
Already picturing Keegan-Michael Key just kind of like,
he is not singing. He hates musicals. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I know. I don't know the.
His characters.
I kind of figured that was the state of it by your description. But yeah, I'm picturing him reacting to people just spontaneously breaking out and stuff.
Some of the Schmigadonians or Schmigadoonians, whatever you want to call them, include Martin Short as a leprechaun, include Alan Cumming as the mayor, include Kristen Chenoweth as the preacher's wife. Fred Armisen as the preacher. It's got a great cast.
Yeah, it sounds like a good cast. Yeah.
And I honestly, the musical numbers pretty good. They're pretty catchy.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think if you're a musical fan, you'll enjoy this. Not only as a comedy, but also as it's got some catchy tunes in there. So,
and what's the name of that again?
Schmigadoon. If you ask me to spell it, I will fucking cut you.
Schmigadoon.
Schmigadoon, I think.
Schmigadoon, the second of Apple TV Plus's musical comedy repertoire.
I was gonna say it's another reason to sign up for Apple TV, even though a lot of people are finding we talked about this before the podcast as well.
Yeah.
You said that there was really only one reason to sign up for it, and it was Ted Lasso, which, by the way, season 2 just started. So another reason to watch Apple TV.
Let me fix your statement there. I didn't say it was the only reason to sign up for it, because I like plenty of things on there. It's just I think that's the only thing that is being kind of presented in the online discourse, is like Ted Lasso is the only thing.
Oh, because they know,
traction.
because it's so successful and people are talking about it. They're like, all right, let's splatter him on every Apple TV advertisement out there. So, you okay?
I'm okay. Are you okay?
Yeah, you froze, and I guess I froze for you.
Yeah. Well, at least it was at the end there.
Yeah, keep it in. I don't fucking care. We that long pregnant silence, that was fucking Discord shitting the bed. I will not apologize, because that's fucking Discord's fault. Hey, Discord, I just realized they made a whole bunch of commercials with Danny DeVito and Aquafina. Those are great. That's cool. Fix your shit.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. Zach, if people wanted to tell us all the things that they think I got incorrect about M. Night Shyamalan's career and how Lady in the Water is a masterpiece, which is incorrect.
The one buff arm from John Leguizamo.
Yeah, the Village is a seminal piece of cinema, I'll have you know. How can people reach us?
If you want to talk about Shyamalan's steady decline in quality over the years,
decline. It never came back. It's like his career is like, here. We'll start on camera's left. Here's this. It started out Sixth Sense. Oh, okay. Oh, Unbreakable, and then bam. And
do you know what a decline is?
No, I know it declined, but it declined in 2000. I don't care what people say about the Visit.
I never said it came back. I just said the steady decline.
It's not a steady decline. Is like a steady decline. You know, you're walking down the side of a mountain.
All right, whatever.
This was a drop in quality entirely at 2000, and then never came back.
You clearly have it. If you want to email Nick about his bone with Shyamalan, you can email us at lightscameranonsense.com.
What's your first name? What's your first name, M. Night? I want to know. What Night Shyamalan? I need to know. What is it? What does the M stand for?
Or you can drop a question on our Patreon at patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. Nick, if they wanted to buy the new shirt where you're pasting a stop sign on Shyamalan's face, where would they go to buy that?
They would be able to buy it at store.lightscameranonsense.com. I actually want to commission that shirt now. Can we get on that?
Yeah, I mean,
I'll get a mock drawing up tonight. Maybe. But this has been Lights Camera Nonsense, keeping you updated despite our best efforts. Make sure to tune in every week for all the latest news, reviews, and what else, Zach?
How do you do?
Hell yeah. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Mark.
What's his first name, Zach?